everybody? So today I want to introduce you to a platform that blew my mind. I didn't even understand it when I found out about it, and got a chance to talk with Johnny from Sound Credit. And he walked me through this, and I was like, I gotta share this with people because this will help you avoid the frustration of sending mixes, of getting stems and files mixed up and versions mixed up when you're collaborating. It's so many things, but get this. It handles so much, I don't even want to give it all away. So we're gonna dive in to like some of the top things this platform does. And if you're not blown away, let me know in the comments. If you are blown away, let me know in the comments. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Johnny from Sound Credit. What's up, Johnny?
How's it going, John?
Man, going great. I'm so grateful for you making this time. I think what you guys are doing is going to help a lot of folk, especially the people who are every day in the trenches dealing with files and mixes and sending stuff. Man, let's get into it. So tell us about Sound Credit. Maybe hit us with the top three things. I think the first question I asked you when I heard about it is, what exactly is it? Like, what are y'all trying to be?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So one, super appreciate you having me on. It was great meeting you last time and showing you everything, and it's super honored to be on this right here to just continue the conversation. So
Absolutely.
one, when people ask me about Sound Credit, and what it is and what it does, I personally kind of divide it into two sides of the same coin. The first side is the file sharing and file transfers, and basically anything to do with like using music files as a music creator or associated files. And then the other side of it is like the music business side of it. Attribution, capturing credits, associated codes with your song projects, just anything like that. And what Sound Credit does is it merges pretty much everything that you would need for your project all into one place. And we do it in a way that it's really just the way we've approached building this platform, and the way we're going to continue to improve building this platform is just really thought out on what the music creator not just wants but actually needs, whether they are just starting out as a songwriter or whatever else, or whether they're an industry professional. Our goal is to walk you through every step of the way of that. And
Did I give
yeah.
an example? Like, just the first thing that comes to mind is when I saw this, the problems that you usually have with Dropbox, problems you have with sharing files with Google Drive, the problems you have with trying to keep up with splits and split sheets. I've written with 21 freaking artists before. The problems you have with it's just so many problems you guys have tackled and solved. That's why I think this is worth people seeing. But I love the way you just divided it up, the file sharing side and the business side. So let's get into it, man. Let's see some of these features.
100%. So it's funny. So to give some context and how things kind of currently are, let's just give an example like on, say, Dropbox and Google Drive. And when I talk about these things, it's obviously no actual shade to, any type of other thing that's happening. It's more just like recognizing what problems exist out there currently versus what things that we can address. So if I share my screen right here, do that. All right, so for example, let's look at, say, sharing a file, receiving a file through Dropbox or Google Drive. When you share a music,
familiar with this.
right, right. And I took a deep dive and just kind of like counted out the steps that it takes to actually listen to a music file. When you get a Dropbox link, for example, you first get the screen that says, hey, get the Dropbox app, because they want you to download the app. And so you got to exit out of that. Then you get to this screen right here. And if you click on track 1, for example, it then opens up this next screen that shows the waveform and the play controls and all that. It doesn't actually play the song. You have to click play to play the song. And then when it's done, if you want to listen to the next song, you have to click back and then click track number 2 and then play that one. So you're averaging out 3 to 4 clicks by the time you actually get to play the song when you send out a link. And then if you have a folder with 10 songs in it, you have to click 3 times per track. You're clicking a minimum of 30 times to listen to the whole folder. And this is just one tiny example of all the different ways that just a general purpose platform for working with music files and just projects, it doesn't quite hit the mark of what you would need as a music creator. Just with the way we're working with music and everything, it's definitely important on how your work is presented, and there is a difference in something like this versus something like Sound Credit. So I'm switching my tab over. Can you see everything still? Just checking.
Yeah, and I just wanted to point out you pretty much got the same issue with Google Drive.
Yeah.
You hit
Yeah.
it and this funny thing pops up, and then you got to go back to the files and hope you don't screw it up.
100%. Yeah, the presentation is definitely very much like we can show you music if you need to show music. But in contrast, the way we've handled presenting music, for example, in our platform, everything that you see here has been thought out with the music flow in mind. So, for example, when you first log into SoundCredit as it exists currently, you get this transfer files tab, and this is basically like a WeTransfer type of flow if you wanted to just immediately send someone a song or a music project. I personally, as a creator, like to build up the playlist before I'm sending them out. So I'm attaching my artwork to it, I'm naming it, I'm attaching the song names. If I have any notes for it, I'm attaching the vocals, or rather the notes for whether it's a vocal or a mix or whatever the notes I have for it. As I'm working on the song, this is a song I'm working on currently, so I'm going through mixes and demos for it. I'm updating the version of the song as I'm going through it. So I'm on version 3 for it right now. Whichever version I play on, or rather whichever version is active, that's the one that's played when I click it. And so when you share a link, you can copy the link, you can email someone the link, or then if you have the mobile app, you can just text someone the link if you'd like. When you receive a Sound Credit link, it's presented and looks as if it's already published, pretty much. So it's set up to look like a streaming platform, and it's all mobile friendly. There's no download required, there's no sign-in required or anything like that. It just looks like you're on a streaming service page already. And it's super clean. When you trying to grab the handle over here, you can control downloads or comments. So on this one I have downloads and comments turned off. If I went to another one, say like Vortex, open this one up, I think I have the downloads and comments on for this one. So if you see, I'll have it off. So I can go to the settings and control who can access it, whether it's hidden, anyone can see it, or if I had a kind of password. I can turn comments and downloads on or off. So I'll turn the comments and downloads on for this one. And then once I refresh over here, I have access to download the whole entire thing. I can download individual tracks, and then I can comment on the timestamp for these as well. This has been super useful for me in multiple ways. One, as a songwriter, I'm bouncing out my tracks, dropping it in the Sound Credit, and then by the time I'm getting into the car, I have a nice streaming link that I can just listen to from my car straight here, and that's just been super helpful. On top of that, working with either sound engineers or other producers or anything like that, say like on this one, I added my sound engineer Brandon Lewis as a collaborator to it. So we're both dropping in the files. And also, if you are the playlist owner, the project owner, you can invite as many collaborators as you want, and your collaborators are not locked behind a upload limit. So if you're the owner and you have a subscribed account, you all can add as many files as you want to it, which I found to be pretty helpful. But we worked on this song together. He has the radio master for it. Just all the different mixes and versions, we were able to keep it up in one place for it. I made some subfolders with the stems in it as those were updated, and I had multiple versions of those. So as I was like, actually, I think I like it better this way. Let me tweak it, send it back to you, and he's just able to download whatever the latest version of it is. And that's just been super helpful.
Commenting thing like in the time segment you were just showing. Yeah.
Yes.
This is amazing.
Yeah, I was bringing back around to that. So another way that this is useful, not just for me making notes to myself as I'm like kind of thinking through the songwriting process, it's also amazing for collaborating with other producers and sound engineers. I can just select the range of the timestamp or select the individual timestamp and then write whatever note I want, and then it tracks right here. So you bring the bass down, and it's right there. And that's been amazing. So one, as a songwriter, it's been great just to track notes for myself, and it's also been great for me communication for other people I'm working with on the track. Because before, I try to treat my my collaborators really nicely, especially as someone who is also receiving edits a lot just in different projects I'm doing, whether it be design, whether it be music, all that. The more specific the feedback is, it just helps a lot. And so before, I was writing down just trying to find that timestamp, formatting. Okay, like at minute,
Exactly.
40 at 41 seconds through this, do that. Like I have emails that are formatted exactly like that.
I got Google Drive documents like that.
Exactly, and it's too much.
A
So
lot. Yeah.
this just skips all that, and
Love it.
that's been super helpful.
Love it.
And yeah, there's a bunch of other things you can do with this with these share links as well. So one example is we also have a beta feature we just released desktop sync. So if you download the Sound Credit desktop app, it's basically everything you see here, but then you also get an extra Sound Credit folder on your desktop that you can sync all of your playlists on. And you can sync it one of two ways. You can sync it to where if you drop any files into your Sound Credit folder, it just simply uploads straight to here. Really useful if you are not wanting to wait for it to finish uploading before you get into your car. So I'm bouncing files, like I said, dropping the Sound Credit folder, and then it's already over here by the time I'm in my car. But you can also sync everything else you've uploaded previously from Sound Credit into here. So I have it synced up both ways. So this one, for example, I had the radio master and the final master for this song, but I realized like 2-3 months later I needed the instrumental track for it as well. So I hit Brandon up. I'm like, hey man, I need the instrumental track. Do you mind throwing that in? He's like, yeah, no problem. I'm already in the studio. I'll send it to you. And I didn't even have to log into SoundCloud to get this because I had the desktop sync already on. It just automatically populated in my folder right here, and that was super convenient, especially since I was using that same laptop to run the instrumental track, so I didn't have to really download it manually or anything. That's been super cool. With these share links,
Improvement for any producer, engineer, etc. on this is just, I'm just like, wow, I love that.
it's been super cool seeing it just evolve over time as well. And like there's already just like these screens right here that you're seeing, like there's already going to be some new changes I'm excited about over the next probably 3 to 4 months. So I don't know when this will be released, but it'll probably look a little different to anyone looking at this 3 to 4 months from now. But it's still, I'm loving the way, like I said, I'm a songwriter and producer, and so a lot of these tracks that you see are also things that I'm working on or have released already. And so it's just been great using this.
I can only imagine, brother. Now, what I'd love to do is, just for sake of time, because I know we got both meetings coming up, looking at the business side you talked about as well. Skipping over to that, unless there's anything else you want to touch on this side.
No, 100%. The only thing else I'd want to show anyone that's hasn't seen this before is that I think is really fun. Is the only other thing with these share links is that you can also see pretty in-depth stats on how people are interacting with it. For example, this is a song I worked on with someone, the first song they ever released, and I was actually able to see the stats for how they were interacting with the tracks. So I'm able to see the listening locations. I'm able to see that per track. I'm also able to see unique listeners per track, average play duration, whether they downloaded it or not, and then the itemized version of that as well. And that's just been super.
That's a perfect segue to the business side, because I think we talked about artists could use this as a private showing for like let's say they've got a Patreon group or Substack group or some paid group, and they want to just share this with them. They can see the stats, who's listening, with locations and all that stuff.
100%.
They can even make it public if they wanted to, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. No, I've seen artists use this as like a way to basically pre-release their music, and it's up to them whether they want to have downloads or comments on or anything like that. But because of how it's presented, it just already feels like something professional and something that's out there already. So it's just super useful. So using those stats too, like if they share these links out, you can kind of pull out how people are interacting with this and whether something is actually hitting or not. You send this out to maybe 200 fans, you're able to see which ones they're listening to the most and which one may be the more popular one. And the answers may surprise you sometimes. So you just get really nice insights with all those.
That's amazing, man.
Switching over to what you're talking about, or what we were both talking about, some of the business things that Sound Credit can address as well, and just music industry stuff. The reason Sound Credit is called Sound Credit is because it started out as a credit capture tool. Really, because music credits right now are it's been the Wild West pretty much ever since streaming hit, and really honestly it can even be argued before that. Either way, there's really not enough tools out there to manage that part of the conversation in the music process.
And
So
just for a second, for the newer listeners that don't understand what credits are when you look up, okay, who's the producer, who's the writer, who's the vocalist, who's the playing the guitar, like who gets the credit for certain roles that were played, who wrote this, that kind of thing. Go ahead though. Sorry.
no, you're great. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And so what Sound Credit originally started as was a way to capture those credits with all the industry information you would need in dedicated fields. And then from there, it's expanded to everything else that you've seen that I've shown you already. But on a share link, if you look at this credits badges over here, you can see any person that you've added as a credit for the song. And these are a bunch of people that I've added. And you do have the option to leave this button open so that when you share these links, you can actually take some of the A&R work off of yourself or whoever else is working on this. And you can have people actually submit their own credit requests to those particular projects. So that's super helpful. Either
you have
way,
approval over it if they submit
yeah,
something.
yes,
Nice.
yeah. So you get a notification right here whether someone submitted a a credit request or not, and so you're able to accept it, or you can accept it and then edit the information if say like they named themselves as the accordion player when they were the banjo player or something, like if they just made a mistake, that you can edit that. So either way, you can manage credits yourself if you click on the credits tab over here. It takes you to all the song information for that particular track. So this one's called Different Name. I have all my different names I've assigned to this song. So I'll click on my profile right here. And here you can capture a lot of different information. So credited name versus legal name. So this will be my artist name versus my full name. Participation date, if you're the copyright owner, meaning if you're the owner of the master of the song. If you're a songwriter, and if you are, or a composer or a lyricist, it opens up this writer details tab where you can go even further with it, assigning what PRO you're with, your information with that. If you're with the publisher, and then assigning extra things like split percentages and copyright ownership percentages, as well as just general stuff like emails, ISNI codes, things like that. You can manage all that stuff in here too.
Yeah, let me just interject. I feel a swell of excitement looking at that because I've been using spreadsheets to manage that kind of stuff. And when you got a project with 21 writers on it, OMG, this is a lifesaver. This is just mind-boggling, y'all. So if you don't do this kind of thing, it's kind of hard to appreciate what this is. But if you do and you see this, I'm curious what people think because it blew my mind. So please let us know what you think about this tool. Go ahead, man.
No, that's exactly right. When I ask people, because I present this thing a lot to people, just like as part of my role at Sound Credit, and it's funny seeing the reactions to this. And I ask people before I show this sometimes, like, hey, so what do you use currently to manage your song credits? And the answers vary like so vastly. Most of the time, it's a shrug. I don't know, like the group text, like my notes app. I don't know, man. Like we just kind of figure it out. And that's all well and good, but we sleep many times between when the song was made and then when it gets released, and so
Yes.
there's a bunch of conversations that kind of need to happen semi-explicitly, if not completely explicitly, when the song is actually released. Who did work on the song? Are there any ownership percentages assigned to that? And so this is a tool that can really help in just managing that conversation, from the get-go, because there is still a credits attribution problem in the music industry, but a lot of it stems from when it's actually happening, the source.
Bingo.
And so, and there's things out there that can try and help you, like once it's actually released, and try to grab the credits, after they've been out there and fix them and all that stuff. But really, your best bet to have proper credits is to have them correct from the start. And so that's where Sound Credit really shines, is having all those tools needed between having the demos, mixes, and masters, and all the associated, credits linked together in that.
And for the novice, just the people who are getting into this and wondering, okay, yeah, I love that. I want to use a tool like this, but I don't even know how to have that conversation. The key is establishing how you're going to move about assigning credits. There's some school of thoughts. We'll get into that in another video. But essentially, you're talking about melody versus lyrics, usually, or melody vocals versus lyrics. Some people split it up that way. Regardless of how you split it, you got to have the conversation and make those attributions and then figure out who contributed what. Once you've done that, then you can go in and put it into a platform like this, is what I've seen. Of course, the other credits we're talking about are a little easier, like piano, but ownership and publishing, copyright and stuff like that, that's what I'm addressing. Who wrote the song and what was the contribution? Have those conversations, use a tool like this. It is critical.
That's exactly right. And with any information that you do put in here, it's really, you only have to put most of the information one time, because once you get the information, whether it be the ASCAP information, or I say not ASCAP, just PRO in general, any of that type of stuff, it saves it as a profile. So you then have a collection. As the more people you work with, you have a collection of people you can grab from to just go ahead and add to it. So you don't have to go through every time and ask them like, hey, what is your information? What is your IPI? Like whatever the other stuff is. So as you work with people, that list will continue to grow, and you just have a nice database of the stuff that you don't have to reference time and time again. It's just something you can assign right here.
Man, this is gonna be my go-to tool from now on. I think. Well, I don't want to speak anything and then change my mind later, so I'll say I think. But this is just blowing my mind.
I mean, that's our goal. That's our hope, is to just have everything in one place, and not just have everything in one place, and like I said before, this isn't just like a songwriter tool. This isn't just a production tool. This is supposed to be like your source of truth for where your projects are. It's supposed to be something that is not just a fun thing to use with like the file sharing and all that. It's supposed to be a genuine help for you in the music industry.
Big time, yeah. I could see that. And you mentioned IPIs. You mentioned for people watching this that are like, "What IPI? What is this?" Don't worry about it. Check out my 5-day songwriting challenge. We go through all these codes that you're going to need. In fact, the way I found this was trying to find a tool to make it easier. And this blew my mind. This is the easiest tool I've seen. Let's talk about some of those other codes and then the song splits. I definitely want to get to that, but do whatever you want to. But I just wanted to make sure we get to those two.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
other
one hundred
codes and
percent,
the song splits.
100%. So the other information you can adjust on the song, so you can name who the artist is on the song name, the genres. You can get pretty in depth with whatever information you want to put in this. But one thing we do offer 3 types of codes that you can generate through SoundCredit.
Hello.
One of them being an ISRC code, which is basically an identifier for the master recording. Those are generated
That's
through
per
distribution
track,
services
right? I mean,
as well, but
per
there are
release,
instances where
let's
you'd
just
want to
say.
have the ISRC code before distribution. So
Beforehand.
we offer that as an option here. And any codes you generate, where it be an ISRC code or the grid code, which is basically the digital
Which I
ID
didn't
for
know
the
about.
project as a whole,
It's awesome.
both of those you can access right here, as well in the generated codes tab right here,
And
and then
when
the
you
save
say
profiles
project as a
tab.
whole, you mean like an album, if it's a
Correct.
single?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and yeah, the project as a whole, the whole package of it, whether it's an EP, if it is just a single,
Yeah,
an album, all that stuff.
exactly.
That's what that code is. And yeah, you can adjust all this information. Lyrics, you can add that, so that's in one place. Any extra notes, yeah, all that stuff.
And the
And
ISNI code for that blew me away. The way I found you all was looking for ways for folk to generate their ISNI code, and you
mhm,
schooled me on the fact that I didn't make the connection when I saw it because I'm an author, an international award-winning best-selling author, and still didn't understand that
mhm,
ISNI codes are now used in music. I'm like, what? Because it's used in books typically, but it just so happens, and especially people in college will know this. You can look up the book you're looking for with the ISNI code. Now we're doing it ISNI code for a specific artist. I'm like, holy crap! And you guys are one of the only ones issuing that, right? Or at least
yeah.
one of a couple.
So the way ISNI codes are being used right now for creators, you can kind of consider like a social security number, but for you as a creator. Meaning, like, there are the example we use, like, there are 12 David Porters in the music industry. Which of those 12 David Porters wrote the song Soul Man? How do you identify that past the name? And so that's where the ISNI code comes in for that. And cool thing about that is, like I said before,
Oh, you
it's
just
kind of,
dropped some knowledge, David Porter.
Mhm.
I didn't even know that was his last name.
oh yeah,
That's
Yep.
cool, man. Sam and Dave. All right, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah. So, which one wrote Soul Man? David Porter, ISNI code number da 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 da, and
Nice.
we are one of the only we're the one of the only platforms right now that actually generate those codes to individuals. And you can see on the actual isni.org website, when you click on Get an ISNI, we're on that list. And there are other ways to generate those, but they're mainly for either organizations or for people in other countries, like Korea or Russia. But as regarding English supporting individual ISNI code generation, we are the only one of the only ones that exist out there currently, and it's super easy to
That's
do.
awesome.
You get a free one when you create an account with us. If you go to my account on these, you can see right here. On this account, I don't have it assigned, but you can click create, claim, or create. And the cool thing about it is if you happen to already have one somehow, some way, it'll search through the ISNI database and find that for you and
Oh, that's
verify, hey, is
beautiful.
this you? And if you don't have one, it'll create one for you. You usually put in your
Nice.
information for that. And that's a really good example of what I was talking about earlier. Like, this isn't just a fun toy to share music files. It's genuinely tools to do all that cool stuff, but also help you actually in the music industry with what you need.
Bingo. That's epic, brother. And so, are there any other top? We saw, for those who might have missed it when he was going through the codes, I can see UPC code. I mean, he handles everything. Are there any other top features on this you feel like we gotta hit before we roll?
Yeah. So when I get to this part, when I'm showing people this, they're like, "Okay, Johnny, this is cool. You can collect all the stuff, put it in Sound Credit. It's a nice kind of catalog for you to manage all your information, all that. Is there anything you can do with this information you're putting in Sound Credit outside of Sound Credit?" And then that's when I say, "Great question," and then I show them this Exports tab right here. So if you click on Exports right here on any of the songs that you are working in, you can see a whole bunch of different options to further use the information that you put in. For example, if you click on Sound Credit Single right here, that basically creates a summary of all the information that you put into this. The song name, the artist, who actually worked on the song, their roles, their emails, the lyrics, any extra notes, UPC codes, ISRC codes, all that. It creates a nice summary of all the information for you right there. And then there's also exports for specific tasks or for specific formats. For example, you can export a spreadsheet that's a list of the performer and studio personnel list. We have exports for specific labels like Big Machine. And the more fun ones, in my opinion, would be you can also generate split sheet contracts
Hello.
in different ways. So, for example, you can generate a split sheet contract right here, and when you generate that, it creates a standard contract just with all the legalese needed to, just get it all locked in. Hey, here's basically you own this much, you own this much, and it takes the credits and the percentage that you put in the when you put in the credit profile, and it inserts it right here.
I use Google Drive, Canva, and Excel, or well, Google spreadsheets to compose something in Canva so I can send this when I have multiple writers, and then DocuHub. This
hmm
this takes eliminates all of that and puts it all in one place. It makes it easy. I'm just like, wow,
It's
that's
dope.
awesome.
It's dope. One thing I tell people too is like if you'd like to send the contract as is, we can send it out, and we support e-signatures right now, so you can have it to where people are actually like getting signed on, just digitally sign it right there. And if you'd like to edit the contract, because sometimes there are like specific things you want to add in extra to this, the general legalese of all this, you do have the option to download it and then edit the contract. Biggest thing is you just have to make sure that you yourself would have to get it signed off somehow
Yeah,
from there.
like DocuHub or
Right,
DocuSign,
something like
whatever.
that. But
Yeah,
yeah, split sheet contracts, producer agreement contract, a similar thing, except different stuff for that specific agreement. Also includes a sound exchange letter of direction with
nice.
the things put in for that. And yeah, here's an example of that sound credit report that I was talking about as well. So it's just nice collection of all the information that you would need, nice and succinct, all together. And yeah, the only other thing I would mention is we do also support the biggest integration I would say that we do have, meaning connections outside of Sound Credit, are we do offer indie registration for PROs like ASCAP, BMI, and SOCAN, meaning
That's
that
awesome.
instead of you can register the song directly to them from SoundCredit. So if you click on this register indie song with PRO button right here, it'll look through the credits and say, okay, is Johnny with ASCAP, BMI, or SOCAN? Okay, yes, they are. Do they have the information set up right? If they do, awesome, cool. We're sending it off to them. And basically what happens after that is you receive a copy, a report of what was sent over to them, and then you'll see it populate in their databases as well over there.
So as a writer or associate, whatever you want to call it, when you log into your PRO, like BMI or whatever, and go to your writers, that it'll list pending after it's been sent.
Right.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah. And that's a lot of it right there. Yeah, file sharing is super cool. You can manage all your projects from demos to masters and just have everything in one place. And then on top of that, you can make sure all that the whatever legal or just extra information assigned to that is also tied right together with it.
Amazing. I paused on purpose because I'm going to cut this out from that pause on in case you can't reveal this. Can you reveal who the owner of this? Is that something you can make public knowledge?
Yeah, for sure. So the owner is Gabri Waddell. He's the CEO of SoundCredit. This was his brainchild, and he's been doing a great job of just managing the direction of where we're going with this. He was a mixing master engineer for 10 to 15 plus years. I don't know the exact number, but everyone that's involved in SoundCredit is involved in music in some way, shape, or form. Like I said, me, producer, songwriter. Gabri has done everything from mixing to, he plays bass and all that stuff. He's also a member of the and you may need to cut this part out because I'm not
National
sure, so
Recording
maybe click
Academy?
this. Yeah,
Okay.
so he's also on the board for the Recording Academy as well.
I said it funny.
Yeah.
National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences. But there is. But yeah, that's awesome, man. So what blows my mind about this, you can tell it's been designed and created by people who understand the problem. I don't think Google Drive and Dropbox were necessarily created for music producers specifically to solve their problems. This is, and what it does, I've seen nothing like it before. So I feel like it has the potential to become the standard in music. So I have to ask that last question about pricing. I know this is subject to change, but when people are comparing, like, okay, Dropbox give me this much space, you guys give that much space, what do those tiers look like right now? And
Yeah,
I
for
know it's
sure.
subject to change.
Yeah. So as of today, the price tiers are into 3 categories. So one, you can sign up for SoundCredit for free and check all this stuff out for yourself. We don't require payment information when you sign on or anything like that. So you can have free reign to explore all this. The biggest limit to the free tier is that you get up to 3 recordings that you can upload to that. So it's just enough for you to kind of figure out, okay, like, is this something that you'd want or not? And then from there, it separates into either the starter tier, $5, Pro, $12, or Business, $14 a month. And the biggest difference between all those would be on the starter tier. You have 300 gigabytes of storage for $5 a month, and then all the file sharing stuff that I was showing you earlier. The biggest difference between, say, the starter tier and the Pro tier, the middle tier, would be one, the storage. So you get 1.5 terabytes with the Pro tier, and then you get all those exports that I was showing you earlier. So all those exports, like the PRO registration, the
Got it.
split sheet contracts, all that stuff, that would be in this Pro tier right
Okay.
here. I will say one thing I did forget to say earlier is in the free tier. So pretty much anyone can do this. You can also generate social media images with the credits over here. So that's why I have this Instagram tab open. You can see
Yeah.
you can see right here examples of ones that we've
Nice.
generated. So just kind of an IMDb looking Recording Academy type of way to show off your
That's
credits
cool.
for your song, and that's pretty fun. But yeah, so Pro tier, the biggest difference is the storage and then the amount of exports that you can get with that. And the Business tier, you get double the storage of Pro, and then you also get some of the heavier exports for, say, unions or for SAG-AFTRA. That'd be the biggest difference between all those. So
Beautiful, man.
yeah, if you're just starting out, there's nothing wrong with doing the starter tier, and then as you kind of get more and more into the more music business side, you may find some value in or even just the storage, getting more storage. But as you get bigger and bigger and start doing more things, you may find it useful to use the exports. And so either way, you can
Now,
jump back
when
and forth and see what's right for you.
love that. And when the pricing tier said how many exports, it wasn't talking about you only can use it 7 times. It meant types, right?
Right. Yeah. So yeah, this is export types. So you
Got
get
it.
8 export types with the starter tier, 15 export types in the pro,
Perfect.
and
Perfect.
17 here.
And I
So,
can
but
use that
you can
export type
export
as many times as I need to.
exactly. Yeah, you can export as many
Yeah.
times as you'd like.
Perfect. When I first saw that, I was like, dang, I only get to use it 7 times.
Yeah. No, you can use as
That
many
makes
times as you
sense.
need.
Perfect, man. Well, I got to tell you, if you all aren't already poised to be kind of the go-to for people deep in the, you know, doing this kind of work in the music industry, I think it's just a matter of the word getting out. If you aren't already poised to be that, but I'm blown away. That's why I wanted to have you on record this just to help get the word out. Guys, I'm not getting anything out of this sharing it. I'm just sharing it because I was blown away and wanted you to know about it. It's definitely going to be a part of my 5-day challenge when we're going through the resources section, as well as I'm already telling people what codes they need. You've helped me realize some extra ones. I knew they needed the ISNI, but I didn't understand why. So thank you. Now I can explain intelligently. I'm going to send them this video as well. So this has just been a blessing to find you guys. Wishing you incredible success, and we'll continue to share it. Where can people go to sign up to go ahead and get registered so they can start getting their file sharing and their wonderful credits in order?
Yeah, 100%. You can go to soundcredit.com and yeah, just sign up, get started right here. Make your account for free. Like I said, there's no payment or anything like required, so check it out for yourself. And yeah, obviously I'm a little biased myself because of how I'm in this, but I think it's extremely useful, and I'm really glad that you think so as well. And thanks so much for having me on, man. It was super cool meeting you and showing you this, and then like I said, I'm honored to be on here. I'm glad you like it enough to then put me on this to continue showing it off. So super
Absolutely,
appreciate
Johnny.
it, man.
Amazing, brother. And I know you're part of that UI team, right?
Yeah. So I'm part of the team that's making the design changes and things like that too. So
Awesome.
the way the current playlist looks and everything, I had a fun hand in. That was a super fun thing to do.
Great work. Great job. Keep it up to you and the team over at Sound Credit. Really impressed with what you're doing and can't wait to, bottom line, see how things progress and take off. So thank you again. And with that, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you hit subscribe, like, share this with folk, get the word out, help people understand what Sound Credit is, especially if you got people producing, mixing, any of that stuff, people in the music industry, share this with them. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on the next episode.